the bereaved families of the 3 firefighters who lost their lives today in the course of trying to put down the fire at the building that houses 3 government departments, the Department of Health, the Department of Human Settlements, and the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. We have just emerged from a briefing, the Minister and I and the 2 MECs. The Minister was in Cabinet in Cape Town. We had our provincial Cabinet, which was held in Tshwane, in Mabopane. In the course of our Cabinet meeting, we were informed that fire has broken out in the building, and we released MEC Mamabulo, the MEC responsible for infrastructure development, and a team from the Premier's office to come to the place where the fire was. They were met by the team from Johannesburg, the MMC responsible for safety, MMC San, and the acting mayor, MMC Ngobeni, were on site together with MEC Mamabulo. I want to first commend the firefighters from Johannesburg about their response time and the efforts they put into this. I want to say to the people of our province that the Gauteng provincial government undertakes a conditional assessment of buildings annually. We commissioned a full assessment of all the buildings and all the facilities of Gauteng government. This would include hospitals. We commissioned that conditional assessment last year. The report on the buildings just came out last week. The MEC was briefing me that he actually received the report last week. So every year when we get the conditional assessment report of the buildings, there are buildings that we decommission. For example, there are buildings that when the report says to us this building cannot even be renovated, it's structurally unsound, it needs to be brought down, we move people to, we get the next, the relevant department, we get them into we get them new accommodation and leave that building completely. So we've got several buildings in the CBD of Johannesburg that we have decommissioned. In other words, out of the conditional assessment, we have completely moved people out of those buildings because the report would say this one cannot even be renovated. So out of the report that came, the latest report, as MEC Mamabulo said, several buildings were identified, including this building that houses the Department of Health. We had already started through the Department of Infrastructure Development a process of moving the departments. So the Department of Cooperative Governance, COGTA, has actually started being moved out of that building, and the Department of Human Settlements. So as I said, there are 3 departments in the building. The plan was to move all of them out of that department, and that gets done in phases. We have been working with the unions very closely, and workers from time to time themselves raise issues about the conditions of buildings, and then we bring the Department of Infrastructure Development to confirm that this building can be renovated or this one is beyond renovation, it needs to be demolished completely. So as I say, the latest report was just last week, and we had already started moving the 2 departments. And at this stage, we have 7 other buildings, and I have taken a decision that we will have to find temporary accommodation for staff in all those buildings. As things stand, we don't know what the cause of the fire is. Fortunately, there's a staff member who was in the room where the fire started. The The police are going to interview that staff member who was there. We will know exactly what caused the fire, but in general, we have several buildings that we have been decommissioning. As soon as the report comes out and says this building is not in a good state, we decommission the building. Others, we don't decommission them. We get them renovated and get our staff temporary accommodation. So this happened with the Department of Health when we were in the process of really attending to the issues that this major building that houses 3 departments has brought to the fore. So I would like all the staff who work for the Gauteng Provincial Government should bear with us, at least with regard to the 3 departments which are in here. For now, they can't come to work tomorrow because we are sorting out emergency accommodation for them. We will be able to advise them. Their heads of departments are communicating with them. We will be able to advise them when they will come to work. But we are fast-tracking procurement of accommodation for the 7 other departments, which the reports that came last week said those buildings are also not in compliance. And this is something that we do on a yearly basis, led by the team. Where's the HOD of DID? Come here, HOD, I want you here. So the HOD of the Department of Infrastructure Development, together with the MEC, do those things annually on behalf of our executive. So we were in the process, certainly, of having to procure accommodation for 7 departments whose buildings were not in a state that complies. And that's something we do on an annual basis. But we now forced by these circumstances to have to do that in the course of this week. We will also consult with our provincial treasury to enable us to can do this as an emergency. I will continue to advise the relevant MECs who will also communicate with their heads of departments around the progress with regard to the 3 departments. We're hoping that by Monday we would have accommodation for the staff of these 3 departments. This is something we deal with usually not on an emergency basis. We are able to move a certain number, including me, my office. The Premier's office caught fire, as you know, last year. Apart from that, that building itself has been undergoing renovation, and from time to time we move our staff. I have been homeless for a while, if I was to call that homeless, officeless for a while. That's something we deal with our, most of these buildings are old buildings, but we are not prepared to move from the CBD of Johannesburg. I have made a commitment to the Mayor of Johannesburg that we want to reinvest into these buildings and ensure that our staff, all those who serve the public, do so at least in conditions that are safe. We're not looking for luxury. We just want to ensure that these buildings provide our staff with the conditions, and workers from time to time come to us and raise those issues. And we were in the process of dealing with the concerns about this building. Thank you very much. I don't know if there are any questions.
Can we get the Minister to comment, and after that we get MMC Son to comment, and then we take questions? Minister?
Well, all we can say on behalf of the national government is to echo the same sentiments the Premier has expressed, to send our condolences to the families of our brave firefighters, and thank all those who have done everything else to save lots of lives. But what I can say at this stage, it's not much except to say we don't want to speculate. We will wait for the investigations which the Premier is talking about. But one reality is that the issue of the inner city buildings, not just in Johannesburg, it's a matter of concern. In Pretoria, we are also dealing with more or less the same buildings. For instance, some of you might know about the crisis of Civitas, which is the headquarters of the Department of Health. But we are looking into all those issues. It's like now we will have to put a top gear to move with speed, not gradually as we thought we would do. But we will be working together with the Gauteng government under the leadership of the Premier and the MEC as my colleague to deal with these issues of infrastructure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. MMC.
Thank you very much. Mr. Premier, Mr. Minister, ladies and gentlemen, let me first say we appreciate you staying so late with us. We also want to express our appreciation for the presence of Premier David Makhura, Mr. Minister and his two MECs. I'm standing here with my acting mayor, MEC Funzi and Gubeni. As you have heard, the unfortunate deaths of our 3 firefighters, we are devastated. We are heartbroken at the city of Johannesburg to learn that we having to lose 3 very brave firefighters. They didn't lose their lives for nothing. They saved tens of employees of the provincial government out of that building. Mr. Premier, at the same token, we want to express our well-wish and speedy recovery to those employees of the provincial government that were taken to hospital today. Ladies and gentlemen, I think just to give you an update, luckily the 4 firefighters taken to the Garden City Hospital, they have been released, Mr. Premier. The other 2, unfortunately, are still in ICU at the Moore Park Hospital, where the Premier and ourselves will be visiting very soon. As another precautionary measure, we will be closing off Albertina, Sisulu and Pixley Semi Street tomorrow. As you can see, the building has just been put out in terms of fire. However, the glass panels and the debris are still falling. We want to ensure that we close off this block to ensure that no pedestrians or motorists will come near the building. We certainly don't want to see any more casualties or injuries. But as the City of Johannesburg, we certainly want to express our deepest condolences again. We have started, in fact, with our own processes within the City of Johannesburg to see what the benefits, especially relating to these incidences, would be made available to the family of the deceased firefighters. Just to add that, Mr. Premier, our chaplaincy in the city of Johannesburg have activated their services to deal with the trauma and the incidences, not just by the residents around, but by the firefighters themselves. So we'll continue to monitor. We will work very closely with the provincial government to ensure that we get over this. So thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We have a press conference tomorrow at 12 o'clock and we will let you know. Unless if there is a pressing.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
How many? Let me check. Please, guys, be short. Yeah, we're going to be brief. So I'm only taking only the 2 of you. Okay? All right. Okay.
Premier, with all due respect, this report came out on the 27th of August. Why were people not evacuated on the 28th?
Okay, well, to whom?
Premier.
To the Premier. Okay. Look, the Premier may not have the details of some of the things that you're asking because you're asking extremely operational issues.
Yeah, let's
Premier,
get the next question.
Okay, Premier, my name is Itekani Magweza from the SABC. My question is, considering that you do annual assessments of the buildings and the fact that there was a labor notice of prohibition last year and the pleas from workers saying that the building was unsafe, why is it that we've come to a situation where something like this happens and that the health and safety rating of the building has come down to 21%, considering that the annual assessments of the building?
Well, as I was saying to you, that the conditional assessment of our buildings is done on an annual basis, and the latest report came in last week, and that's Monday the 27th. And I have particularly said that for the Department of Cooperative Governance and the Department of Human Settlements, those two departments were in the process of being moved, and the process as we do it is that once the reports are brought, we make a determination based on the conditions of the building about which one to move people, and the MEC for Infrastructure Development, who is here, will be able to explain what the process is. All I can say to you is that once the report is out, we make a determination based on that report that particular buildings are not fit for habitation of people, for occupation at all. They need to be brought down, and others need to be fixed. So we were in the process of moving people out of this building. It's one building that has got 3 departments, and the specific MEC and the HOD can explain a little bit more detail about that. But and I also want us to wait with the question of the cause of fire. I think it is important. The action that the provincial government takes once it receives the reports, it's something that we have done on an annual basis. How long that report gets to us is something that the MEC can explain. But the important thing is that report was given to the department on the 27th of August. And then the department was in the process of relocating staff out of that building, at least from the 2 departments.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. MEC Mamabolo is available for a one-on-one. Okay. So as I've said, tomorrow at 12:00 we're having a press conference. We'll let you know about the details. As of now, the Premier is going to Mill Park Hospital to visit some of the firefighters and some of our staff members who are injured. So if you're interested, you may follow the Premier Mill Park Hospital.
May I just say that there were 30 who were hospitalized, admitted to hospital on the basis of exhaling the smoke. We will also visit them, as most of them have been discharged. There is a few of them who are remaining, and we are going to be visiting them together with the firefighters. They are at Mill Park as well. And as their condition improves, they get discharged by the doctors. So we will definitely give an update tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.